This is a solution video for problem 3.6 from our text. I'm going to talk my way through it so that you can follow what I'm doing. It gives you instructions in the problem assignment about the steps they think are best to follow, and they suggest creating a blank of the saw blade, then cutting out one tooth, and then creating a linear pattern of the tooth profile to make the rest of them. So I'm going to go ahead and start sketching on the right plane. I'm going to do this by creating a midpoint line, make it 12 inches long. I'm going to make it for construction, which means it's not actually part of the sketch geometry for the extrusion that I'm going to make. That just helps it. So now I can put circles at each end that are the diameter that's given there. So it looks like it's 0.45. And then I'll make another one at the other end. Then I will make those two equal. Then I will connect them. Then I'll use the trim tool to cut out the inner part of the circle that I'm not using. Okay, so that's the overall shape of the blade, but there are two holes at each end to mount to the frame, and those are 0.15 inch in diameter. And make sure I select both of them, make them equal. Okay, and then I will extrude that out. It is thickness, looks like 0.02 inches. And so I'll do an extrusion. I'll do mid-plane to keep everything centered, and 0.02 inches. Okay, so now I have my blank. Now it says to cut out one tooth based on that detail in figure 3.6D. So I will sketch on this face again, perpendicular to it. Let's zoom down here. I am going to select the curve and convert entities. That brings it onto the sketch that I'm working on. That just helps me find this endpoint right here. I'm going to then take that curve and say for construction. So again, it's not actually being used on my sketch here, but that point now helps me locate where that first tooth goes. So it looks like tooth is 30 thousandths high. So I'm just going to draw it in rough right now. Okay, and start dimensioning that. This is, okay, so it's 30 thousandths total, so that's after I've created the radius. So let's put in a radius of 0.005. Radiusing that point. And I'm going to get rid of this dimension because that's not really what the dimension's to. The dimension is to that point right there. And that is 0.03. Okay, and then the throat of the tooth looks like is 0.05. Okay, so now I have a fully defined sketch. And it says I can go ahead and, so let's just talk about this for a minute here. What the book suggests is create an extruded cut from this and then make a linear pattern of the cut feature, which is what I'll do. Just remember, if you wanted to, you could also do a linear pattern at the sketch level. So I could say right now I wanted to make do it like that and space them. They're 0.05, and then entities to pattern would be this one, this one, this one, and this one. So you can see there that would make a bunch of sketch instances, and I could do that and then extrude cut all that. But that's not what's suggested. They suggest just doing one. So we'll go to extruded cut, and I'm going to say blind up to next. Okay, so now I have one cut through, and now I'll do the linear pattern of my feature. So I can couple ways I can select that feature. I can come up to the surface itself, and then that's the face that I wanted to. First, it was interpreting that as the direction, which is not what I wanted. So the direction I want to go is along this bottom edge, and then I'm only going in one direction, so I'm going to ignore direction 2. And then here I can pick by features and faces. You can see by just clicking on that one, it picked all of them that I wanted to. If I couldn't pick on it, just remember I can always get to the feature tree up here and select it there. Okay, so then spacing is 050, so 50 thousandths, and then I just need to run up the number until they come down. So let's zoom out to where we can see the whole thing. Oh, too far. And I could just grab a calculator and figure out how many that is. Maybe that would be a better way. Let's do that real quick. So it's 12 inches divided by 50 thousandths per tooth. So it's 240. So I can just type in that 240 here instead of clicking them one at a time. And let's just look at the preview. Yep, that looks like that's going to go right up to the end. So just say OK. And there we have our completed saw blade. So I'll save that. That's problem 3-6. I hope that's helpful as an example of using linear pattern on a feature to create a bunch of teeth on the saw blade.